Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so psyched because I have Brianne Williams with me today, and she and I are going to dive into everything Instagram growth. She is an Instagram growth coach and strategist. And I said right away, I got this call and I said, we are diving into like Instagram specifically. Everyone is struggling. We want the secrets. So, Brianne, intro yourself, tell everybody a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm so glad to be here with you guys today. Thank you for having me. And this is quite an example of like doing business as a mompreneur. I'm literally sitting in my car right now because my daughter had kind of a last minute ballet rehearsal. So this is how we do business, and it's kind of how I've built my business and how I help other moms build theirs, because we are busy, so we require different strategies. So that's kind of how I do Instagram. I own a social media agency that I've built to multi six figures in the last 2 years. I'm very proud of that. And I really am proud of getting to help other women make their own money, have financial freedom with their great, exciting ideas that, they finally have put into action just from using Instagram. So it's pretty cool to get to do what I do and help other women, do what they love.
I love that and feel exactly the same way. It's a great feeling to get up every day and do the things that you love. So I'm going to dive right in. We got a whole list of questions to go through. All right. First one, you talk a lot about creating content that is both strategic and sustainable. What does that balance actually look like for the everyday creator?
So I think strategy is kind of, it's something a lot of people get twisted, I think, right? We hear a lot, and I'll kind of talk strategy and content pillars together because I think those are usually looped together, and in some ways they do go together, some ways they don't. But in terms of strategy, the first thing I want to say is you do not have to post multiple times a day, and anyone who tells you you do, run for the hills. It's just not necessary. I've built my account to where it is today and my business to where it is today without doing that. Are there days when I post multiple times? Yeah, if I'm just really hyped up on a topic, or if I'm in launch mode and I really want to drive traffic to something, then maybe I will. But that is a rare exception. I don't even post every single day. So I just want to give you the permission and the deep breath that you don't that, because it absolutely is possible to grow and to have results and grow your business on Instagram without posting 3 times a day, which is just like, especially as moms, who has time for that?
Yeah.
Seriously, who has time for that? But when it comes to strategy, I would say the biggest thing that I tell the women that I work with, and the biggest thing that I use in my own personal business, is I don't ever post without having a purpose. There's never I call it posting with purpose, because every single post, I know ahead of time what I want that piece of content to do for me. As a goal, it has a strategic return on investment or return on the post, right? So I don't just post to post, just to check a box. So every post that I make, I design with the desired outcome in mind. So for example, if I want to really build my email list because I'm in an upcoming launch, then I'm going to really drive traffic heavily to my freebie. Okay, well, I know that my freebie produces a very specific outcome. So all I have to do then is I need to create content that talks about that outcome, that talks about the problem it solves in a way that is, exactly how my girl would be describing the problem using her. But I'm going to build that piece of content with a very clear call to action. So it is obvious. It's driving traffic to that freebie. It is driving the demand for that result. And it every single time. When you're posting with purpose like that, you genuinely, and this sounds like hyperbole, I promise it's not. It literally, you should be getting at least one lead from every single post that you make. And you do that by knowing in advance what you want the content to do.
Yeah.
When you're if you just post to post, so many people do it backwards. They post and then they're like, okay, well, how do I get this to lead to my opt-ins? Or how do I get this to sell my offers? Or how does this turn into followers? It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really uphill battle if that's how you're posting. And if that's what you're doing, you really can't be surprised or upset when you don't get the result. You didn't tell it what you wanted to do. You have to tell your content and create it to do what you want, right? And I think that's the biggest thing I could tell you in terms of strategy. Happy to go more into content pillars and my 2 cents on that too. But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's awesome. Do you have a number one recommendation that people do before posting consistently on Instagram?
That's a great question. I would say to kind of just really bring it to like a basic level, the number one thing I would say you need to do first is really know why you're doing this. Who are you talking to and why? Like it sounds cliche if you've been an entrepreneur for a while, but like, who is your target audience and what do you help them with? So like, you really do need to know that.
Yeah.
That would be step one, in my opinion. And one of the ways that I help people figure that question out is if you can answer, like, what would you fill in the blank with? So if I say, when people think of this, I want them to immediately think of me. Okay, so what's the this? How are you filling in the blank? When you know that answer, it becomes really easy to create content.
That's a really great tip. I actually, in our Influencer Secrets Academy Mastermind group, I have a resource that's a very basic, but designed for influencers business plan that like answers it, walks through all of those questions, and it seems so simple. That's the thing. It's like you feel like, oh, it's so stupid, I don't even need to do it. But when you get clear about those things, that's when, you know, your big picture like really comes together.
Yeah. And I think it's, you know, not to like dive into the whole niche conversation, because that could probably be another two.
A whole combo.
But I think people overcomplicate what their fill in the blank is. Right. I want women to think of me when they, you know, think about getting unstuck and standing in their confidence and becoming the best for, I'm like, okay, no. That's not it. Simplify. Yeah. Right. So like, I always try to give my business and my answers as an example. So for me, I would say right now in my business, when people think about hooks, I want them to think of me. I'm not even going so big as to say when people think about social media, when people think about Instagram, like I'm narrowing it down to like hooks are the thing that I am like your girl. Like I feel like I'm more qualified than probably anyone to talk about hooks. And that's the thing I want people to instantly think about me when it comes to that. Right. So yours can be that simple. It can be one little piece of a big industry, of a big niche. You don't have to be an expert at the entire giant part of it. But the second thing, to go back to your question of like, what would I encourage you to do first? So figuring out your answer to that question. And then second, set up your bio the right way, right? I love that you have 4 dogs and 3 kids. You love oat milk lattes, but that doesn't belong in your bio.
Yeah. Nope. Can you give an example for everybody?
So the best advice when it comes to your bio is to remember that your bio is actually not about you. It's about them. Okay. So your bio is kind of like your opportunity to tell a new viewer, a new audience member, why they should stick around and how it's going to benefit them. Follow your account and pay attention to your content. They don't care that you like coffee or that you have 5 kids or that you're a golden doodle mom. Like they don't. They're like, great, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
They care that you have a specific solution to the problem they've been trying to solve. The other really important thing for the bio is your name line. This is like the number one best most important piece of real estate on your Instagram page. So not just your handle, like I don't mean like the @Brienne_Williams, that's your handle, but you have, it's called the name line. And if you're in your edit profile, it'll say name. That's where what we're talking about. It's bold font on your Instagram profile. That line is extremely important because it triggers SEO. It's the only part of your bio that triggers SEO. So what you really want to make sure you have in that line are keywords. Keywords. So think of it in terms of what would your ideal client, customer, audience member, follower actually be typing into the Instagram search bar or Google search bar? What are the words that she is typing in and actually looking for? Those belong in your bio. So it's not the place to put like fancy, clever, colorful language. It's the place very specific, like market research keywords. And if you are somebody who location would be specific, if you have a brick and mortar business, a real estate firm, a real estate business, a Pilates studio, yoga studio, those types of things, I would also add your location or your city to that. Because if I'm searching Pilates, Indianapolis, you'll come up then.
That's a great tip.
Those are kind of bio 101.
I love it. No, that's great advice because it seems so basic, but it's very easy to overlook.
It is. Yeah.
So let's talk clarity. What are the signs someone's content lacks clarity, and what are a few tips for fixing that?
Yeah. So I'd say this is honestly one of the things that so many people are getting wrong. If I look at your piece of content and from looking at your text on screen or your hook, if I still don't know what you're talking about, or I'm like, okay, but what does she do? Or get my attention, or I could take that same exact language, that same exact hook or text on screen and throw it on my page or your page or their page, and it would still work because it's just that vague, then we've got a big no. That is not going to work. So it just has to be abundantly clear who this piece of content is for in a way that is so specific that it's like undeniable. The goal of each piece of content should get the person on the other end of it to go, oh my gosh, like she's talking about me. Like, okay, that's me. I do that. Yep, that's me. I'm the one. That's what the goal should be. And the only way we accomplish that is by being hyper specific. Like, I'll use an example. This is one of my like favorite examples. Rather than saying like, are you a mom who feels overwhelmed and struggles to like get things off of her to-do list and is like surviving on coffee? Okay, well, yeah, what mom is not busy, overwhelmed, and like, all those things. But if instead you say, if you're a mom who's had laundry in the dryer for more than 3 days and just cannot get it put away, like this is for you. That is a specific example of how that problem is showing up in my life. And when you call that out, now you got my attention. But when we're just being vague and kind of saying things that like apply to everyone, we don't get anyone's attention.
That's a really, really good point. Really, really good point. So many influencers struggle with what to post. How do you help clients simplify their content pillars? So now we can go into that so that they're not stuck in the posting just to post.
Yeah. So I feel like people kind of get the content pillar conversation confused. So a lot of times people will say my content pillars are like educational, fun, entertaining, and like, family. I'm like, okay, well, those are not pillars. First of all, those are types, but they're not pillars. So your pillars, the way I describe it, should be things that like you routinely talk about, right? So I can expect that if I go to your page, you're going to be talking about one of these 3 or 4 things. And those I'm coming to you for. So again, mine as an example right now, my pillars would be Instagram hooks that actually stop the scroll, how to create better content in less time. So like content for like busy moms who just done spending hours creating content, and how to grow your account. Those are my pillars. So every piece of content I make is probably talking about one of those three things, with maybe an occasional outlier. With once you know what your pillars are, right, the things that you are going to routinely be talking about, and I expect to see when I go to your page, you can take those pillars and drop them into what I would call categories or buckets. So I use something, and I teach my students, and you probably may have seen it on my account. I talk about it a lot. I call it the cash content strategy. Or types of content that everybody, regardless of your pillars, needs to be posting. So all 4 types of content will help you grow. It'll help you get leads. It'll help you build that know, like, and trust, and it'll help you make sales. So I'll give you the 4 types. Are you ready?
Let's hear it.
Okay. So it spells cash. So this is going to be really easy to remember because cash is simple, right? Okay. So the first is the C. C is for connection content. Connection content is going to be really good for growth. It's also really good for that like deep, like know, like, and trust factor. Okay. It's highly shareable and the stuff that people are going to save. So this is because it's shareable, it's good for growth. Content that really shows the audience that not only do you understand them, like you get them inside and out, but you understand their problem and you understand the solution to it. You've been there, you've gotten results. We're having a deep connection where we're like, oh, you're my girl. That's connection content. The A is for authority. So authority content, this is where you get sales. Authority content really is for sales and leads. So authority content is going to be social proof, where I can share my results. And please don't share your results in like happy customer static post with just the text from the client testimonial. There's better ways of doing it. But this is like how I took my client from this to this, or how I was able to do X in just this amount of time. Those are authority pieces of content. So that's, again, really good for leads and sales. The S is for solution, and this is your opportunity to talk about your specific methodology. So it shows that you have a unique solution to their problem. So it's me talking about my cash content formula. It's referencing my viral hook workshop and maybe dropping one little piece of it, which then leads the people to go, well, what are the other pieces? I need the other 3. What are they? Oh, I should get that freebie because I need that, right? So solution is really good. It can lead to sales. It can lead to opt-ins for your email. So again, sales and leads for solution content. But that's really important too. We need to know that you have something to offer that is the solution to our problem. So it's sales content without being salesy. And then the H is for how to or helpful, right? So quick tutorials, make a reel with me in the next 10 minutes, or here's how to make this high protein breakfast, in the next 5 minutes, or, here's how to use this new feature on Instagram, like little quick tutorials, nothing too crazy, nothing that's going to require them, forever to do on their own. We want something that gives them a quick win and actually gives them a result or moves the needle for their business. How-to content, in my experience, is excellent for followers too. A really good tutorial about something Instagram related or social media related, it gets a lot of followers because people are like, oh, that was actually really helpful. Thank you. I didn't know that. Oh my gosh, that I'm going to try. Right? So it's good for starting conversations because people will often have questions. So those 4 types, connection, authority, solution, and how to, if you can kind of wrap your content in those buckets, you'll see growth. You'll get more leads and opt-ins to your freebies. You'll make more sales, and you'll have more of a community of people who are actually engaging and like having dialogue with you. So that's the way to do it.
I love it. That is really, really great advice. Talk about strategy. I mean,
it's super, super helpful.
Every week, I think I lost you. Did I lose you?
I froze for a second.
Good. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, good. Okay. So, next question. In your opinion, what do you think is the biggest myth about Instagram growth right now, and what's actually working in 2025?
Okay. I would say the biggest myth is like anytime you hear somebody say, oh, the algorithm just hates me, or the algorithm is just not like, none of that is true. There just is no evidence to support that. It's not true. The algorithm does not hate you. Advertising does not hate you. Instagram does not hate you. You just might not be creating the type of content that is working right now. Or maybe you just haven't created enough content yet, right? I can't tell you how many people start posting for like a month or maybe 2 months and they're like, it's not working. Like, it's not working. Nobody's buying my thing. I'm not growing. And I'm like, girl, it's been 2 months.
Yeah.
Like, talk to me in a year when you've been consistent, right? But what happens is you post, you don't get the results you're hoping for right away. It's like crickets, or nobody's opting in, or your views are in the hundreds and you're frustrated. So instantly you go to, well, what's the point? It's not working anyway. And so you stop posting.
Yeah.
Maybe you come back 2 weeks later and you post for 3 days, and then maybe you quit for another week. And then it's like, that doesn't work. So really, one of the things that is like so important and definitely working in 2025 is to be consistent. And when I say consistent, I don't just mean like show up consistently. Like, if you're going to post 3 times a week, you post 3 times a week, or 5 times a week. Be consistent, but also be consistent with what you're talking about. If I'm showing up one time and talking about like my favorite recipes, and then the next time I'm talking about like Amazon leggings, and then I'm trying to tell you about how to grow your Instagram account, you're going to be so confused, and nobody know why they're following you or what thing is, right? We need to know why we're watching your content and why we should continue to watch your content.
Yeah.
In terms of like what's really working now, and I'm actually so excited by this, the more like casual, relatable, authentic content is killing it right now. We are so over the like heavily influenced, heavily aesthetic, heavily like edited and polished and filtered content. Like, we are over it because we all know none of it's real. We want to talk to real humans and have real conversations and have content that is actually relatable. So that should be a sigh of relief for everybody, because that means like, it doesn't matter if your kitchen is messy. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car while you're filming content. Like, that's relatable, right? Like, we want to go, oh, okay, she's like me and she's doing it. If she can do it, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah.
That's those connections. So that kind of content is killing it right now. So hopefully that encourages everybody to like not stress out so much and get so complicated.
No, I totally agree. I struggle with like feeling like I need to put makeup on to like get in front of the camera, and like sometimes I'll do it in stories, but like for like reels and photos, and I'm like, I just need to like get over that because nobody gives a crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, and we all have that. Like, I'm not gonna pretend that I don't feel that way too, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe let's put our hair up or do some that. But if you can just remind yourself that at the end of the day, like, relatable wins, and I don't care when I'm looking at somebody's content if they don't have makeup on.
Neither do I. I'm like, why do I care so much about it?
Exactly.
Okay, for somebody who's showing up and doing all the things, but they're still not seeing engagement, what's one thing that they should tweak or audit immediately?
Yeah. Okay. So engagement specifically, the first thing I'll say is engagement is a two-way street. And a lot of people are not actually doing the other part of it, right? They're expecting people to engage with their content, but they're not actually engaging with anyone else's. It doesn't work that way. It is 100% a two-way street, and you kind of get on Instagram. So I would say the first piece of advice I would give you is to make sure you are intentionally prioritizing engaging with other people.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like. So yes, you can go to like industry leaders, other larger accounts in your industry or niche and engage with their content. That's great. But even better, if you can go to those industry leaders or larger accounts in your niche or whatever, and look in their comment section. So look at what questions people are asking, because that's great ideas for you to go create content that answers those questions.
Yeah.
Look at their comment section and go to those people's accounts. If they're public accounts, go to their account and engage on one of their most recent posts.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean, please do not be salesy. Don't pop in their DMs and be like, hey girl, none of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking, be a good human and say something nice. Like, oh my gosh, I love those shoes. Or we just came back from a beach vacation. Where did you guys stay? Like, have conversations.
Yeah.
It's conversations that really build relationships.
Yeah.
So twofold, you're building those conversations, you're getting new eyeballs to go, well, who's this person? Like, oh, I should go see what her account's about. Like, who is this? Right? They want to figure out who's commenting because maybe they've never seen you pop up.
Yeah.
And also, what happens is you just told the algorithm that you two are like have a relationship, a conversation. So they're much more likely to show that person your content tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah.
It really does work. I can't even tell you the amount of like one-on-one clients on members that I've gotten in my own programs just from doing that.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
I mean, it's wild, but that's the most important thing. And then really designing your content to be engaged with.
Yeah.
Are you giving them something like to take a next step? Are you using a call to action that makes sense? Are your call to actions simple? You don't want to like leave an open-ended, well, tell me your worst story about this, or tell me what you're struggling with right now. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's going to leave you a paragraph.
Yeah.
So make it for people. And then I think in terms of engagement too, if you can kind of like work on your story game and build engagement that way, that's another strategy.
That's a great tip. Do you have a specific like period of time, like you say, oh, you should spend an hour a day focusing on engagement, or like what's your advice there?
So, I mean, if you want to spend an hour a day doing engagement, bless your heart, like go for it. Like I will not be doing that. Honestly, so say I'm getting ready to post on Instagram. I've got my post ready. It's written, it's ready to hit post. Before I do that, I'll probably go through and like respond to any comments from yesterday. Maybe I'll heart any comments from the previous day. So I'm kind of like warming up my audience.
Yeah.
Post. And then for 5 or 10 minutes, literally, like I don't think I ever do it for more than 15 after post. Then I will go in and find new people to engage with. I'll do that strategy of like going to other people's accounts, looking in their comments, finding people that would be my people.
Mm-hmm.
Just starting conversations. That's it. But it shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes really should be enough. Or give yourself a goal of like, I'm going to interact with 10 accounts. If that takes me 5 minutes, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done. If it takes me 20, okay, well, I said I was going to do 10. I'm going to do 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, it shouldn't take you that long.
Okay. Great advice. Great advice. How do you batch plan your content? This is a good one. Do you have a go-to process for staying organized? What do you do?
So if any of you are like type A personalities, what I'm about to say like might like make you cringe, because I am so not type A. I have a lot of clients and like one-on-one people I work with that will show up to coaching calls and they'll be like, so I made this Excel spreadsheet with like all of my like content schedule. And I'm like, oh, okay. Do I have to look at it? Please don't make, I hate spreadsheets. I hate them like with a passion. So as a general rule, I do not batch.
Okay.
So that's surprising for a lot of people. I just prefer to create my content kind of like as I go, and that works for my life. However, I do batch B-roll. That I will film, and I have a huge bank of like B-roll that I will reuse all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I I'll use B-roll from 2 years ago because
Yeah.
I would
Yeah, absolutely.
of daily just filming something every single day, even if it's 5 minutes. Give yourself some B-roll. That is enough to batch. Then you can reuse your captions. So I do that. I write my captions in my notes app and I constantly reuse them. So that's a form of batching.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of keeping my content like organized and kind of mapping out what I'm going to do, it's like literally the simplest thing ever. I have a note in my notes app on my phone, and every like week I update the date and I pin it to the very top of my notes. So it says Bree Reels with the date.
Mm-hmm.
And any idea that I have, I jot it down and they're all in there.
I
So
do
if
something similar.
I'm like, ooh, what if I did that? That would be really cool. I'll just make the note of it. If I see a hook that really gets my attention, I'll jot it down, I'll put it in there. So I'm constantly like keeping a little reserve of ideas. So I never am in a situation where like, I don't know what to post. Like, what should I post? What do I talk about? I've got a million ideas ready to go. I just have to.
Yeah, I love that. I do something similar.
Yeah.
So let's talk about trends, right? Instagram's always changing. How much do we really think that creators need to be chasing after trends? Should we be jumping on all of them, or can we just pick and choose?
You absolutely can pick and choose. You don't have to do any trends if you don't want to. And what you definitely should not do is force your content to fit into a trend just because it's a trend,
Yeah.
especially as like if it doesn't feel like something your brand would do, then why are you doing it? Like if that's not who you are, why are you doing the lip sync video? Like you do it. I would say honestly, I would be picky about which ones you do and which ones you don't. Also, if you're going to do it on the early end. You don't want to like do it for
the challenge.
It's like right now, I think we're kind of at the tail end of like, she doesn't know yet, but in 3 weeks she's going to, or in 3 years, like that's kind of run its course. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you're going to do a trend, this is kind of like a fun little bonus tip. I did this back earlier this year when the trend was like, I met my younger self for coffee. Remember?
Yeah.
So instead of just doing what everybody's doing and copying that exact same trend with the same audio and like, okay, I met my younger self for coffee. She said, hey, like, okay, great. Wow.
Yeah.
Instead, I kind of flipped it on its head and I was like, okay, well, while everyone else was meeting their younger self for coffee, I was busy writing viral hooks for my clients. Like, time to meet my younger self for coffee because I was busy like helping people's reels blow up. And that did really well because it was like a spin on what everybody else was doing. So if you can take a trend and make it your own, bonus points. Like that will always do really well. But please do not ever feel the pressure to force trends. You shouldn't feel the pressure to do fancy transitions. And like, I feel like a lot of that is kind of fading to the side anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Love it. So my last question for you here is for anybody who is just like right now feeling very overwhelmed with Instagram. What is something that you feel like they should just do this week to kind of, I don't know, to kind of like, get rid of the overwhelm, but still stay the course?
Yeah. I would say the second half of what you just said is the really important part. If you feel overwhelmed and you feel like, I just don't see the point, it's not working, like everybody else's accounts are growing and mine's not, always add the word yet.
Yet.
It's not working yet, or you haven't grown yet, because you will. And the only way to guarantee you fail here, the only way to guarantee this doesn't work is for you to quit and just not do anything. That we know 100% the result that comes from that. So as long as you keep showing up, that's like 75% of the battle is just showing up. When you do that and you keep showing up, it's like, the saying, like, clarity comes from taking action. The more you do that, the more you'll go, oh, you know what? Like, I'm really good at this little part of this. Like, this is really my area of expertise. And this is coming to me for. This is what people are asking me about. You'll get so much more insight into your niche, into your offers, into like your audience and what they need from you, by just continuing to show up. But also, I would say, if this is hard because we're so inundated with like advice and tips and tricks and all this stuff, try not to like, try to limit the insight, like all the advice, like even if that means like muting certain accounts, just because pick a couple people to really listen to in terms of like, I'm going to take their advice. I like the way they teach, or they seem to do things in a style that fits my life and it makes sense for me. Take advice from like 1900 different sources. Yeah, be really overwhelmed because they're going to contradict each other. You're going to have, conflicting advice. You're going to have, way more things on your to-do list than is necessary. So keep it simple. I hope that I'm always a source of providing information that lets it be easy for you. Should be simple. It should be, you should be allowed to have fun creating content.
Absolutely. I love that. Yeah.
Seriously, like at the end of the day, we're talking about social media. At the end of the day, we're talking about Instagram. Like it really is not that deep. You know what I mean? It's really, it's not life or death. We are not like, doing brain surgery. It's social media. So it's allowed to be fun. So focus on showing up authentically as yourself. Focus on meaningful conversations with people. And do your best to not pay attention to the number. Because honestly, here's the thing. Like years ago when I was growing my account, I was like, I feel like once I hit 10K, I'll like, that'll be it. Like I will have made it. I'll feel like I'm on top of the world. Well, what happens is you hit 10K and instantly you're like, now I got to get to 20. Then you hit 20 and you're like, whew, now we got to hit 50. Like it's just the number moving. So if you're hitting a number, hoping for that to like fulfill you and satisfy you, you're out of luck, because that number is going to keep going up and up and up. And there will always be people with more. You're never. Yeah. So, the number doesn't matter as much as we make it matter internally. It's way more an ego thing than it is an actual like success determinator.
Yeah, that is a great thought to end on. I feel like just replay that in your head as you're, going through the motions. And if you're feeling discouraged or overwhelmed, that was such amazing advice. I know that I learned so much from this. Thank you so much, Brianne, for being here today. I know that all of our influencers here are walking away with so much knowledge and they're ready to hit the ground running and turn up that Instagram growth.
I love it. I'm rooting for all of you. It's exciting to see, new accounts grow and see what all of you, accomplish and do with it. So I'm excited for you.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, see ya.